I was invited to join Andy Budgeon and friends on Monster Project, a Volvo70, for the race to Eddystone and back.
So of course coming down through the Solent and then being shot out by the tide out through the Needles Channel, and then we're making our way west, firstly past St Albans Ledge, and we're hoping to make the tidal gate here at Portland Bill. The tide is turning this evening, Saturday evening, at approximately 1700, so we'll be looking to get west of the Bill, and then we'll be making our way across Lyme Bay to Eddystone Rock, so hopefully get round the rock before midnight tonight. On the way back we'll be broad reaching back across Lyme Bay. The course past Portland Bill and St Albans Ledge is the same, however once we get back up towards the Isle of Wight we'll be heading north of the Shingles Bank and then in through past Hurst Castle to finish just off Lymington in the western end of the Solent.
We belted off the line with our code 0 up, working the crew hard, with ex-Olympic 49er sailor Andy Budgeon on the helm. Shortly after the start, preparations were made for the first of many sail changes, in this case replacing the code 0 with the A2 spinnaker. There was a small delay in hoisting due to difficulties with swapping sheeting from the code 0 to the A2.
We're just getting our A2 out. We've been a bit underpowered down here, but it's hard to know what the wind was going to do, so we now got the A2 up. Well, we just better put it up. Hopefully that gives us a bit more power down for this last part of the Solent.
Will bravely went up on the halyard to attach a new sheet.
I don't know, I guess like you gotta do a job. It's a bit of an adrenaline rush swinging out there, you know, it's just up one halyard and nothing else. But if it's the only way a job's gonna get done, you know, there's no other way to do it, I guess.
Tonnerre, the Kerr 46, probably our nearest rival that got a good start close to the green, was still shadowing us as we passed Hurst. After leading out of the Solent, tactical discussions continued on two strategy options: stay inshore past St Albans and Portland, risking lighter winds, or go offshore to get better pressure and a late afternoon left shift to the west. The offshore option was favoured. We dropped the A2 for the code 0 as we required a narrower angle to the wind. The less complicated bareheaded drop hoist was chosen due to the light conditions. The code 0 was swapped for the Genoa and then later to the J2 as the wind increased, keeping the crew on their toes. James and Andy discussed forecast and strategy at the nav table. Options of tacking back inshore early are raised, but both decide to keep to the offshore plan.
Ben has just said that the wind has dropped a little bit and he's comfy at the moment.
He's comfy to hang on to
that. Yeah, he's happy to hang, because it's dropped. We're doing 10 knots and he says it's dropped. So
it's been down.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. We'll hang on to it as long as we can.
Okay.
Well, on the next tack out, we're going to be tucked in here somewhere. So,
I don't think going in there will do anything.
I don't think it's a bad thing. On the basis, the wind stays roughly the same direction. So this is the dream, I guess. You know, sailing on these kind of boats is, you know, it's the pinnacle of the sport, I guess. And if you don't want to go forward in dinghy racing, I guess offshore is the way to go. And the Volvo Ocean Race or the Volvo70s is definitely a good way forward.
Meanwhile, the off-watch enjoy a well-earned cup of tea at the Volvo equivalent of the saloon table. While on deck and approximately 30 miles offshore, the B-watch, making the most of the sunshine, decide to start making the best of the left wind drift to head back to the mainland, as the winds forecast to start going round to the north after 8 p.m. The wind has increased to 20 knots at approximately 260 degrees magnetic. The guys make the best of some small wind shifts at the western end of Lyme Bay. The navigator keeps his eye on the ley line to start point to make sure we don't overlay, and at sunset we're approximately 20 miles from start point, doing 10 knots with our closest rival, Tonnerre, who took the inshore route, some 10 miles behind. Towing the water, the FAR 52, who followed us offshore, is nowhere to be seen. Having made the best of the right-hand shift at start point, we rounded Eddystone, and the A2 was hoisted for our easterly heading home. The wind had dropped to under 8 knots, allowing Tonnerre, our nearest rival, to catch up to 6 miles behind.
Angle, we're probably 20 degrees out on start point at the moment, so we need to come up another 20 degrees. This is about as hard as we can carry this A-sail.
Although we're 20 degrees low, we decide to stay with the A2 and get the code 0 ready to hoist.
So we had a VMG run stroke reach from the Eddystone lighthouse down to start point, which went quite well. There was a big shutdown right at start point, but we knew the wind was going to come in from the north eventually, so we held our nerve, as it were, and came through reasonably unscathed after an hour or two of flopping around. And now we've picked up the northerly wind and we're cruising across Lyme Bay reasonably well at 10 knots.
Just packing up our A2 just so it's ready to go again. It's quite warm, it's quite a lot of pike, but we'll get there shortly and then we'll be ready to go.
And both the dagger boards were raised to lessen downwind drag.
We're just passing Portland Bill. Wind's gone very fickle, and we're just trying to make the best use of the east-going tide now prior to the tide turning in about 2.5 hours. The breeze has meant that we've had to get the code 0 out rather than the A2, and we're really just trying to make as much use as we can of what breeze we've got for the next 2 or 3 hours.
We're going to roll up then.
The crew do a good job of changing the code 0 to the A2 as the wind shifts towards the west, and we require the extra 200 square metres of sail area.
Back, you've got full right, so you could be
And now we jibe gently along the Dorset coast in the morning sunshine. As we head towards the Needles, the wind freshens and the boat really starts picking up pace. And we continue into Christchurch Bay and the last leg towards the finish. Meanwhile, behind us in Lyme Bay, the two Curve 40s were closely match racing and holding on to their 30 miles behind us. But we eventually took line honours by over 4 hours.
Well done, everyone!
All in all, the crew had a great race and a very enjoyable time, and a commendable result.
What have you done there?